Guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss Married to Medicine, Season 8, Episode 3. This episode was alright. Nothing super crazy happened. Pretty much the same old same. I have to say, this is the most unlikable cast of any show that I've watched. I just find these ladies to be very unlikable. I don't like anyone's personality. I've told you all again and again that I don't have any favorites when it comes to this cast. And the same suspects really irritated me. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into it. We start off the episode seeing Dr. Simone, Dr. Jackie, Dr. Eugene, Dr. Contessa just talk about COVID, how it's affecting them. We see Dr. Jackie. She's like not sleeping. She's up at 4 a.m., leaving the hospital at 4 a.m. to do it all again in like 2 hours. She just says that babies have not stopped being born because of a pandemic. Then we see Simone echoing the same sentiments about how babies just keep on being brought into this world despite this pandemic, but how COVID has made things a lot more difficult and it makes things feel worse than they really are. We see Dr. Eugene just talking about how he has patients that are just suffering from COVID, okay? And he even says, like, where are your heart attack victims and people who have heart failure and other ailments? Like, it just seems that we're only treating people who have COVID. So now we get to the next scene and we see Dr. Heavenly. She is meeting with one of her patients, and we find out that her patient is a young woman named Miracle, and she is a young activist, and she is with the organization called Good Kid Mad City. And we find out that while she was protesting, she was videotaping a young man being arrested by police, and she was getting him to say his name so that way she and the group could provide legal assistance to get him out of jail. And while she's videotaping him, the police turn around and punch her in her face and knock out one of her teeth. When they showed the video of that, my heart broke in half. Like, I was borderline in tears. And we find out that a lot of people on Instagram were tagging Dr. Heavenly in the story. Dr. Heavenly read up on the story and she was like, emotional as anybody would be. And so she hopped in the young lady's DMs, flew her out to Atlanta, and she is providing reconstructive surgery for the girl's teeth. And I have to say, Heavenly did an amazing job because Miracle's teeth looked amazing. I really wish that Heavenly could show this side of herself more often. I'm so tired of constantly seeing the same old brash woman who's always just saying something just really awful, instigating arguments, being just really rude for no reason. I really wish that Heavenly would show more of that side to her because she actually seems like she can be sweet and kind when she wants to be. And I, for one, would like to see more of that. But again, Heavenly, you did a phenomenal job. And Miracle, my thoughts and prayers are with you and the work that you do. So next we see Toya, and you can tell she's in her tennis gear. So she is getting ready for another day on the tennis court. And we see that the doorbell rings, and it is her new BFF, Anila. Anila lets us know in her confessional that her and Toya connected off rip. And they just love each other. They are fast friends. They are both Aries, and they are like two peas in a pod. The only difference is Anila sucks at tennis while Toya is getting her Venus and Serena on. So we see them get into Toya's golf cart, and I swear to you, Toya loves that golf cart. Like, every single scene, she is just riding around the neighborhood in her golf cart. So they get to the tennis court. Toya lets us know that she loves tennis. Like, she has gotten really good at it. She said that she started playing tennis 5 days a week for 2 to 3 hours a day. Now, let me just say that tennis is my favorite sport. I used to go to tennis camp when I was a teenager, and I was pretty good, okay? Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, I got some skills. And seeing Toya on the tennis court, I was like, okay, like, I want to hire an instructor and take lessons again just to like refresh, because it has been a while since I have been on a tennis court, and it is just so much fun to play. It is the perfect summer sport, and tennis is no joke. Please do not think that it's an easy sport and you're just going to be standing there. You get some major exercise. Like, you are running from this side to that side constantly, okay? When you play with somebody who knows how to play, you are moving your body like it's nonstop. So don't get it twisted. Tennis is that girl. She will have you in tip-top shape. So we see them on the court. Anila is struggling. She's just like, look, I'm just here to look cute. That's all. And then we see that their tennis lessons have been cut short because it's about to rain. So next we see Contessa and Jackie. Contessa is showing Dr. Jackie around her new practice, and she's really excited about it. Dr. Jackie is impressed. She's just asking a few questions. And then we see them sit down to discuss Contessa and Scott's marriage. She goes on to ask Contessa how they're both doing, because remember, Scott and Contessa are going to be working with each other in the same place. And Contessa says, well, I'm actually still really hurt about how Scott was not supportive of me while I was pursuing going back to school last year. And then Jackie goes on to ask if they're still in counseling, and Contessa's like, nope, Scott quit counseling, and as a result, I stopped going to counseling as well. Jackie just lets it be known that they have a lot going on, and they need to be on somebody's couch getting to the root of their issues before things get out of control. My personal opinion, I just personally feel like this is BS. I feel like Scott and Contessa are playing with their marriage to stay on this show, because those Bravo checks are addictive, all right? The Bravo pays very, very well. They are the hottest ticket in town if you want some fame and a come up financially. So I still think that Contessa and Scott are fooling around with their marriage for a storyline. I just don't think that anything is wrong. They're just pretending. But again, for the sake of the show, let's just go on with it and say that they are having some serious issues. I think that Contessa needs to stop acting like she knows everything, and she needs to listen, and they need to go back into therapy, counseling, whatever, and talk to a professional about their issues, because it's only going to get worse, like Dr. Jackie said. But again, I didn't really have a lot to say regarding this scene with Contessa and Jackie, so we can move right on along. So now we get to the next scene with Anila, and we see that she's getting ready for her parents' visit. We find out that her parents visit them quite often, and her parents actually live in Savannah, Georgia. Now, may I just say that this scene was a little yawn, like I was kind of like nodding off. It was a little bit boring. I really get tired of that whole, here comes the annoying mother and the very overbearing mother who likes to nitpick at, her daughter. That's always very annoying. I thought that the mom was being extra for the cameras. I just really, was like, okay, like, really? And we see that Anila's husband gets tired of his in-laws. And even in the confessional, he was kind of like, yeah, my in-laws drive me a little bit crazy. And you know who Anila's husband reminds me of? He favors Tiger Woods to me. Like, every time I look at him, I always say, oh my gosh, like, he looks just like Tiger Woods. Like, the same facial expressions, like, he looks just like Tiger Woods. I don't care. He does. Y'all, Google Tiger Woods, Google Anila's husband. You will see the resemblance. But I digress. I'm finding Anila's storyline to be boring. I'm gonna need her to pick it on up. I'm still on the fence about her. I don't know if I like her or not. She's giving me a little bit like she's trying too hard. I don't know if she's nervous because of the cameras and it's her first time and she's joining an ensemble cast that have known each other for years. So I don't know if it's that, but I'm not really connecting to Miss Anila. Like, I'm just not. But we shall see. I'm not going to make a judgment just yet. I'm going to give her another 3 or 4 episodes before I make my final decision about whether she's a good fit for this cast. But I digress. So now we get to the next scene and we see Tacky Toya, okay? Listen, Toya puts the T in tacky and you know it, I know it, everybody knows it, all right? So we see her boys, and Eugene. They're in the kitchen hanging out. Eugene's making some dinner and Toya is letting him know that she's just so stressed out because the boys are falling behind in their schoolwork, and it's because of the homeschooling and how difficult it is to try to plan her day, getting herself ready and helping the boys with their work. Eugene is just listening to her drone on and on and on. And then she says, I don't know how people who have more kids, do this. Like, I couldn't imagine for the people who have 4 or 5 childs. And her boys and Eugene were like, wait, what did you say? Come again? And Eugene's like, the word is children, not child. And she's getting a little bit snippy, like, I did not say child. And her boys are like, Mom, you said child. A lot of times when Toya talks, it's like, is anybody home, sis? Because she seems like her head is kind of empty. Like, she just has rocks for brains. You know what I'm saying? Toya is not the brightest bulb. So they're joking about that, and then they get on to talk about how COVID has made them a little bit more testy with each other. I say this all the time. Eugene has the patience of a saint, okay? Because Toya is not an easy person to deal with, I can imagine. If we see the portion that we see on TV, Lord knows what he deals with 24/7 when the cameras are off. God bless him. So next we see a short scene. Anila is letting us know that she's hosting a Rocky party, and it is a traditional Indian celebration, and she wants to pass it down to her kids. She just wants her family to keep the tradition going, and she calls up Toya to let her know that she has also invited Contessa to this party, and Toya is annoyed. And we find out that Toya is still upset because when she invited Contessa over for Christmas, Contessa didn't want to take off her shoes. And so that's why she's annoyed. She feels disrespected. I think that Toya loves drama, and I think that Toya loves being angry. Like, Toya can never just seem happy. Like, I think she enjoys just being actively upset about something. This whole thing with Contessa is just so silly. And I thought it was funny how she seemed annoyed with Anila, like, well, why are you inviting her? Like, you don't even know her. And Anila just lets it be known that she actually really got along well with Contessa at Damon's birthday party, and she wants to get to know Contessa as well. So next we see Heavenly. She's at home, the doorbell rings, and it is her good friend Quad. Now, we are in episode 3, and we see that Quad is no longer part of the main cast. She is now a friend of the show. And thank God, because Quad was getting on my nerves too, and she didn't really have a storyline once she got divorced from Dr. G. But I digress. So anyhow, Quad comes right on in, and Heavenly wants to swoop her up to her closet, which is 3 stories, for some girl chat. And Quad makes a joke in the confessional about how it's really silly for Heavenly, of all people, to have such an elaborate closet when she is the worst dressed in the group. And no lies detected, Heavenly cannot dress worth a damn. It is what it is. So they sit down to chat, and Heavenly's just asking Quad how she's doing. Quad lets her know that she is dating and all of her prospects are fine, educated, and successful, honey. They got the money, honey. So Heavenly goes on to ask if Quad is sleeping with any of them. And Quad's like, no, I'm just dating. And Heavenly doesn't believe her. I don't understand why people have a really hard time grasping dating. Dating is not a relationship. It means you guys are dating to see if you're going to move into a relationship or go your separate ways. Dating means you're getting to know somebody. So it would make sense that she wouldn't be sleeping with them because she's trying to get to know all these guys. Like, why is that so hard to process? And if she is sleeping with one of them, that's her prerogative. And so Quad, makes a joke about Heavenly, and Heavenly goes on to say that she's only been with one man. And it's like, well, no surprise there. I mean, you and Daddy got married when you were like 21, 22. So, I mean, nobody's really surprised. So here's where things, of course, get messy because Heavenly just can't help herself. Heavenly goes on to say, so how are you and Toya doing? And Quad's like, we're great. Like, we're cool. Everything is fine. Like, why do you ask? Heavenly whips out her phone and shows her a video of, I think it was Cecil, Simone, and Toya talking about Quad. And Toya saying some stuff like, well, Quad only films with Heavenly anyway and doesn't bring much to the show. So Quad is really livid. And now she goes into a whole tirade about Miss Toya and her finances. And she says, girl, you want to talk about my situation, but let's talk about you. Let's talk about how you had to take out a personal loan of $100,000 to get your pool installed in that dream house of yours. Let's talk about how you and Eugene begged, borrowed, and stole to get into that house. And we all know that Toya is somebody who is good for living above her means, trying to flex, trying to front, trying to keep up with the Joneses when they really don't have it. And like I said before, she suffers from that Sheree Whitfield syndrome, delusions of grandeur. And Quad also goes on to say that Toya has no problem working Eugene to the death so that they can live a certain way. And it was really funny when Quad also said that Toya needs cars, shoes, bags, and houses living in certain neighborhoods to validate her, because I said, well, Quad, the same could be said about you. I mean, while you're spilling her tea and while you are laying the facts out on the line about how insecure Toya is, you are also the same way as well. I said, whoo, child, just a mess. I'm looking forward to the reunion and what Toya has to say about these claims of taking out a personal loan for the pool, though. So now we get to the last scene of the episode, and it is the night of Anila and her family's Rocky celebration. And we see that the party is being held at a restaurant. And so we see Simone arrives first. She says that she really, really likes Anila a lot. They really have hit it off, and she's happy to be a part of the celebration. Then we see Toya and Eugene arrive. And then we see Contessa and Scott arrive. And Toya is visibly bothered. Y'all, this scene was just so stupid to me. Like, it really was. I was aggravated with Toya because I just don't understand why you can't seem to let whatever gripes that you have with Contessa just go. I just find it to be really weird that Toya has this weird hate for Contessa. I really do. It's almost like Toya enjoys being mad at this girl. It was so annoying to watch. Like, you know, the whole entire time she's rolling her eyes, trying to shade Contessa and the headpiece that she was wearing. I don't think Contessa is stylish, but I have to say I thought that she actually did look cute at the party. And for her to, you know, constantly take swipes and jabs at Contessa, it's like, girl, are you kidding me? I just find Toya to be just so nasty. Like, her attitude just drives me up the wall. I don't like her at all. I really can't stand her. Anyhow, the party starts, and Neela pulls Contessa to the side and just says, Contessa, I want to get to know you individually. I know that you and Toya are on the outs right now, but I would love for you guys to come together and get along. Contessa's kind of like, girl, like, I did not come here to talk about Toya. Like, let's just focus on me and you. So while they're talking over on the side, now we see Toya just mean mugging the both of them. And then Toya turns to Simone and discusses her issues with Contessa. And even Simone is like, this whole argument over Contessa not wanting to take her shoes off at Toya's house, like, that is just so stupid. And then she goes on to say that the real issue is Toya's upset because she feels like Contessa does not respect her. So Neela and Contessa sit back down, join the table, and Contessa says, thank you so much, Neela, for inviting us to this. This is so special. Thank you again. I feel really honored to be here. So instead of Toya agreeing and trying to make nice, she gets nasty saying, well, I didn't even know when you guys started talking anyway. Like, when did that come about? So, of course, the whole mood changes, and Contessa's like, Toya, may I just say, I am so tired of arguing with you. Like, this is getting old. This is getting stale. We are living in the age of COVID. Like, enough already. Toya then gets mad and says, you know, I'm so tired of people bringing up COVID. Like, we live it every single day. And it's like, Toya, do you hear yourself when you talk? Contessa's a doctor. Scott is a doctor. They all deal with COVID every single day too. Like, Eugene is not the only one who's a doctor. Toya is very simple-minded and self-centered. She thinks that everything revolves around her and Eugene. Like, I really cannot stand her attitude. Like, she's just so aggravating. Toya makes the show really hard to watch. Contessa and Toya start going at it. Toya's getting nastier and nastier, and then Contessa is just over it. And so her and Scott leave, and Toya is just sitting there looking stupid. And then Neela is upset because she's like, you know, I just wanted you guys to get along. And my thing is, I feel like Neela shouldn't have done that whole little thing of pulling Contessa to the side. It's like, why call attention to the fact that her and Toya are not speaking to each other? I just felt like all they had to do was just ignore the little tension in the group and go on about the dinner. Like, it really did not have to go left the way it did. I was just annoyed. I mean, but y'all, that was the episode. Let me know what you all thought down in the comments, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye, guys.